Hi, I'm Miko Peled, and I'm speaking to you from Palestine House of Freedom here in Washington, D.C. Have you ever heard the name Izzeddin al-Qassam? If you have, it's probably because there's a resistance brigade, a Palestinian resistance brigade that is named after him. And there's also a rocket that the resistance has been using called Qassam rockets. Recently, many people have discovered that Izzeddin al-Qassam was actually a person. And the way this was discovered to many people is that the Israeli government is now determined to destroy his grave. So who was Izzeddin al-Qassam? Why is he venerated by Palestinians? Why is he venerated by the Palestinian resistance? And why Israeli government ministers are so determined to destroy his grave? So he was born in Syria. He studied in Egypt at Al-Azhar University. And then he preached in Syria and got involved in the anti-colonial struggle in Syria against the French, in Libya against the Italians, and in Palestine against the British and the Zionists. He made Haifa his home, and he preached at a mosque there, the Istiqlal Mosque in Haifa, and made it his mission not only to resist the colonization of Palestine by the British and the Zionists, but also to work with the Falahin, to work with the Palestinian farmers who were being dispossessed at a very rapid pace as the Zionist settlements were being built. So these Falahin, who for generations upon generations have been cultivating the land and living off the land, were now displaced and basically became urban poor. They had nowhere to go. They lived in shanty towns around the big cities like Haifa and so on. And Izzeddin al-Qassam understood their struggle, he understood their misfortune, and he lived with them and worked with them and tried to help them. So that is his legacy, among all the other things. But this was in Palestine, his main legacy. He was killed in battle by the British in November of 1935. To a large degree, his death sparked the revolt that began in 1936. And if you haven't seen the movie Palestine 36, you should. The movie is about that revolt. It's a very, very important part of the modern Palestinian history. But this, of course, needs to be taken as in a broader view, in a larger context. Balad al-Sheikh right now, like I said, has become a different city. It's become a Jewish settlement called Neshir, which is in the larger Haifa district. And Izzeddin al-Qassam is buried in a Muslim cemetery that's been there over 100 years. And the city wants that land. They want to take the cemetery land and to, develop the city more and so forth. So they've turned this into a political issue where they say Izzeddin al-Qassam was a murderous figure. He murdered Jews and so on, and therefore there should be no memory of his, certainly not in what they call the State of Israel. And so that's why they have suddenly turned up this campaign where they are determined to destroy it and will probably destroy the entire cemetery, and that'll be it. So we need to remember this is not a single case. This is not the only place where the State of Israel is destroying Palestinian heritage, but this is happening over all of Palestine. It's happening in Jerusalem. It's happening in Hebron. It's happening throughout the Galilee. It's happening in the Naqab. They are destroying historical sites, historical monuments, trying to erase the names of historical figures that are significant to the history of Palestine, both modern and ancient. They are true believers in the process that they call the Judaization of Palestine. So there's a Judaization, or as they call it, development of the Galilee. There's the development bureau of the Naqab, or as they call it, the Negev. And basically, development is a code word for dispossessing Palestinians and building settlements for Jews only. So because Izzeddin Qassam was so well known and is revered by Palestinians, and particularly the Palestinian resistance, we know about this particular case, and Israeli ministers have gone there, and the Israeli Knesset is discussing this and so forth. There is opposition to the destruction by the Palestinian Waqf, by the Muslim Waqf, but it's undoubtedly the grave will be destroyed, as are other monuments, as are memorials for other important figures in Palestinian history. And as we see the destruction in Gaza, as we see the riots and the killing of Palestinians throughout all of Palestine, we have to also remember that there's a process of Judaization, which means erasure of the Christian and Muslim heritage of Palestine. This is a process that is going forward full force. It's going forward full force. And if they succeed, there will be no sites, there will be no heritage at all of historic Palestine, of the history of Palestine. So as we stand up to liberate Palestine, we have to remember that if we don't do it quickly, if we don't act quickly, not only are lives being lost, not only are people being dispossessed, but we are losing invaluable treasures, invaluable, irreplaceable treasures that exist and have existed for thousands of years in Palestine itself.